Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the virtual learning course, Getting to Know ArcGIS Hub and Enterprise Sites, a socially distant community engagement software. My name is Taylor Wells, and I will be your moderator for today's session. This presentation will be provided via both audio and web conference. As a reminder, today's session is being recorded, and all participant lines will be muted. This program will last approximately 45 minutes, including a Q&A session at the end of the program. If you have a question at any point during today's presentation, you may submit it via the Q&A button located at the bottom of your screen. If we are unable to make it to your question, we will follow up after the program. Please note that we will send all attendees today a presentation or certificate of completion via email that you can use for self-reporting purposes. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our speakers for today, Brian Kingery as lead, supported by panelist Matt McCracken from Timmins.
Thanks, Taylor. Welcome, everyone. I'm Brian Kingery, and I am excited to share with you this presentation of Getting to Know ArcGIS Hub and Enterprise Sites. Hopefully, you can take from this webinar some new ideas and considerations as you sit in your office, whether it's actually in office or taking that long commute down the hallway to your home office, as most of us are working remote. Apologies in advance if some of my little coworkers join in the fun. Hopefully I've barricaded myself successfully in my home office well enough. With recent events in the world of practicing social distancing, I think it's more relevant than ever to discuss being able to configure a platform designed in a way to communicate effectively and to engage with your community the message that you intend to. So Hub and Sites are two technologies that do this perfectly, built on a platform that you most likely already subscribe to within your organization. So this webinar will discuss Hub and Sites and the benefit that these solutions of the ArcGIS platform can provide an organization. The target audience for this presentation are administrators and content curators of ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise. As I go over the technology, discuss and demo some of the case studies that we've done here at Timmins, and go over lessons learned for when you're ready to get started with your first Hub site, or if you take what you learned today and implement it toward your current project. So for the agenda, I'll be discussing my experience with implementing my first Hub deployment to give you a sense of where I started. Then I'll introduce the technology of Hub and Sites before I showcase a few projects while going behind the scenes on a few of them. Lastly, I'll be going over some lessons learned throughout the implementation, so the sites that you've created so far or ones that you're thinking about can be that much better. So a little bit about my background. Like I said before, my name is Brian Kingery. I've been with Timmins since 2018. Before that, I helped manage GIS at the Virginia Department of Transportation, one of the largest DOTs in the country, and have experience working with GIS in local government settings, higher education settings, as well as GIS in the Army, where I was first introduced to the field of GIS. So I specialize in solutions and system administration workflows with Online and Enterprise. At Timmins, I'm on the GIS transportation team, where my main focus is working with transportation clients, such as state DOTs, as well as a variety of local government and private organizations, to help them make sense of their data and really tell their story, whether that's through story maps, dashboards, or some other variation of configurable, ready-to-use apps. So how do I get started with ArcGIS Hub? While working at VDOT, there was a push to update the current internet site with something more modern that would allow everyone the ability to interact with authoritative data and maps curated by the hundreds of GIS users at VDOT. ArcGIS Hub at the time was branded purely for an open data site, but has since evolved into more of a way of standing up websites beyond just open data, meaning there's more functionality provided to the user than just being able to download data sets provided by the organization. This was a great experience putting this site and its components together It was very collaborative and was the start of a system of engagement mentality at VDOT, where I was able to work with various business units within the organization to work on identified application ideas that would benefit everyone, not only at the agency, but also stakeholders. So I was given the opportunity to work with GIS users across the organization, meaning one day I could be working with a person in traffic engineering division, looking at crash data, and then the next day I could be sitting down with a person in the maintenance division looking at how to best feature construction or pavement data within an app and then on the website eventually. So Virginia Roads was hugely successful in that it allowed the agency to showcase their data and apps to stakeholders within the Commonwealth, to the public, as well as across the nation to researchers and other DOTs. So the big return on investment is the time saver of FOIA or information requests that we no longer had to deal with as much so before the website existed. So we'd get requests asking for a set of data, and it would take time to locate the data owner, package the data, and deliver the data. So Hub took care of that for us, and I'll explain that, and I'll explain how in a bit. Here are some metrics regarding usage of the site from the first year it was released. Users were definitely able to do their own self-discovery of what data sets they wanted to use and what apps were available to them. So I'll demo this site and others later in the presentation, but first I want to lay a foundation of what the two technologies are. So what is ArcGIS Hub? ArcGIS Hub is an easy to configure cloud platform connected to your ArcGIS Online's organization that allows you ways to collaborate with stakeholders, information about your initiatives. Your initiative could be the open data site that I just mentioned before with Virginia Roads, or it could be to set up your county's landing page for all GIS related content, or it could be to showcase a specific project that your organization is currently doing, like a construction project or a master plan redesign of a state park. ArcGIS Hub provides a guided experience for your intended audience to navigate your content the way that you would like them to. Your colleague who might not be as familiar or comfortable locating content in your ArcGIS Online organization through group sharing won't need to worry about searching for items in your portal or looking through a REST service directory to add that right layer to their map. A public citizen who hasn't had the opportunity to receive any formal GIS training, they won't have to worry about knowing how to navigate your portal, because you can create a website experience where you can put up front what matters, allowing for that intended audience to be able to get to the right content right away. So the first point that I want to review is the ease of use. Hub and Sites, which I'll talk about Sites later on, both provide a builder that will allow dragging and dropping of different elements on the website as you're configuring your main page and any subpages. You don't need to know how to code to create a website. With that being said, there's obviously a trade-off whenever you're creating something with COTS technology configurable off the shelf. Without coding and staying completely within the drag and drop mentality, you can create a very clean and slick looking website that would be responsive and get your message across. And that comes with the low cost to develop. You could stand up a site that would require very little lead time, meaning you could set this up on lunch break, for instance. On the other side of the spectrum is going completely custom, where that does require the ability to know HTML and CSS to provide that custom feel to a website, but with that comes a higher cost, a longer time to develop. So if you're going to go to the custom route, you just need to find that right balance between time and cost to stand up and maintain your site. Hub and Sites are built using Bootstrap, which means the website you configure will be responsive to the device it is being viewed from. So the different elements of your website will automatically resize if needed for medium or smaller size screens, which is great, as most of the websites that we view nowadays are from our phones. Second point I want to review is stakeholder collaboration. ArcGIS Hub allows for great stakeholder collaboration How does it do this? So it follows the same sharing model of ArcGIS Online. Any hub sites that are designed follow that sharing model, meaning you can configure a website that is designed to act as an intranet site where employees of your organization must sign in to your org using their account to view the content. You can create groups in ArcGIS Online to share specific elements of your website, such as specific apps or even pages themselves, so that only members of that group can access that content. You can create a group in ArcGIS Online with update capabilities enabled to allow your team to help you design the various elements of the website and subsequent pages. So stakeholders could also be members of your community, with your site being fully open to the public. There is flexibility enough within the sharing model that parts of the website can be designed for specific users, so that, you know, once they sign in, that smaller group of account holders can access just that content, such as a specific division within your organization, and it's based on their account and what groups they have memberships to. So this is a good segue in time to mention that there are 2 subscription levels of ArcGIS Hub, Basic and Premium. Basic comes standard with your ArcGIS Online subscription. All you need to do if you're an administrator of your org is go into the settings and enable open data for your organization. This will allow the hub icon in the app launcher to appear, and you can create your first hub site without the need for any additional licenses. The premium subscription to ArcGIS Hub does come with an additional cost for licensing for most organizations. This cost is based on the size of your community's population served. So for example, if you're a small county with a population under 20,000, for example, it's going to be a bit cheaper than if you're a large organization that serves a greater population. Another cost factor is how many community identities or accounts you'd like to have in your Hub Premium organization. I'll go over the conceptual architecture in a bit of how these organizations are set up and collaborate with each other. If you're an educational or nonprofit org, there are special rates that are available to you for a premium subscription, to the point of it being included and available to you ready for use already. With Hub Basic, you have the ability to create an unlimited amount of sites and pages that can be linked to those sites to give your website some depth. Also, you have the functionality of open data, which I've talked about already, which allows you to be able to feature your data sets and have them able to be interacted with, visualized, and downloaded excuse me, in a variety of formats, as well as providing access to the endpoints of the REST services and GeoJSON APIs, which is handy for developers looking to access and use your services. You also have the ability to get feedback on your Hub site by creating and embedding Survey123 applications in your site directly from within the Hub builder, the Hub designer. If you're familiar with the web builder of Survey123, you can do this directly within your Hub site, and then when the survey is published, it's automatically shared to the various groups that are created within the Hub site. You can also get feedback in other ways, such as embedding geoforms and other types of crowdsourcing applications. A quick example would be a web app builder application with the editing or smart editor widget added that references an accessible editable service to get input on spatial features. With the Hub Premium license, you have a few more options available to you in creating Hub sites. You have access to shared community initiative templates. These templates are a great starting point for standing up a website. It's also a great way to get extracts of HTML code that you can take from a template and incorporate that section of code that interests you as an element of your main site that you're configuring. You also have the ability to use calendar feature where you can schedule events, where your community member accounts can register for those events and stay up to date with any communications that you have by being able to email them with any updates. There is also a supporting teams feature where you can provide a community identity account to an individual that would allow them to help create content and curate your site by creating new pages and giving depth to your initiative. So I keep talking about these community identities. So to give you some context, I want to switch over to this conceptual diagram that discusses what your ArcGIS Online organization might look like when using Hub Basic and Hub Premium. So your organization consists of users, the content that those users create, and then the groups within your organization that controls who sees what. When you have Hub Basic implemented in your organization, there are a couple things that are created when you start a new Hub site. When you create a site, an item in ArcGIS Online is created representing the site application along with two groups. Each page that is also created is another item in your ArcGIS Online as well. Each one of the groups has a specific purpose within Hub. The first group is the content group. Any item shared to this group becomes searchable on your website. The second group is the core team, which means any account added to this group has the ability to edit items shared to the group. This could include the pages or the items. So this group has the update capabilities enabled. This is a great way to collaborate with members on your team when creating a larger site with multiple pages, or collaborating on making edits while you might be on vacation. They'll still have the access to everything shared within that group, so they can get to what they need to maintain the website. Like I said before, this includes the site items and any pages shared to that group. Lastly, the dotted line going from the page to the site represents a way that you can link pages created for one site to another site. So all of this is really all encompassing. I'll go over this a bit later when talking about design consideration. When you have a Hub Premium license, a second separate ArcGIS Online organization is created. You have your main organization that has your authoritative content, users, credit allotment, etc., and then a second organization that is connected to your main one. This community organization consists of users that have the ability to create accounts, to follow your initiatives, sign up to attend events, receive emails in general, or about specific events that they've chosen to follow and attend, get access to content not publicly shared once they've signed in, if you have content shared that way, as well as they have the ability to help you curate your initiatives and the content that's featured. This second community organization has its own pot of credits that you can use for storage of content or analysis, so you don't have to worry about your main organization pot of credits being impacted by any activities in your secondary community organization. Shown on this slide is how the diagram would adjust when using Hub Premium. So two additional groups are created when a new initiative is started. And those are to group together the community identities for the followers of your initiative, as well as a group that's created for any events that you add to your initiative. Again, the followers are the accounts of your second community organization. So we know about Hub Basic and Hub Premium, so let's talk about enterprise sites. So it was first introduced in ArcGIS Enterprise 10.6.1, released with the main goal of sites being able to have users interact with your portal in a way that is user-friendly and more of a website experience, very similar to ArcGIS Hub. Sites is an app that can be configured in your portal just like Hub. Enterprise sites is essentially the same product with a couple differentiators that I'll discuss in a bit. It's built on the same framework, meaning the builder is like the Hub builder using the user interface is similar. There's similar functionality as far as the group structure and sharing model is concerned, just like how you would set it up in ArcGIS Online. The main difference is sites is built in your portal for ArcGIS, where you've deployed your ArcGIS Enterprise, whereas Hub is in your ArcGIS Online organization within Esri's environment. So here you can see an example from an enterprise sites implementation, and this applies to ArcGIS Online as well. instead of a user needing to know and be familiar with the portal that your organization uses, navigating the different groups and the variety of content that's stored as shown on the image on the left, you're able to create a website where you can provide a link to a page, for example, and all that content is there that you would want the user to be able to have. On the right, you can see a page of a site where there is an application, there's links to user guides, videos, way to provide feedback, etc. So it's much cleaner when it comes to a user experience. And this is a very similar feel to just a normal website. That you wouldn't have to have any background knowledge of portal. So how do I pick which one? So between the three technologies, how do you go selecting which one to use? There are a couple things to consider that'll go into your decision on how to choose which option. You should use enterprise sites if you're working in a disconnected environment where your apps and data are all behind a firewall. If your organization has policies in place that might not allow the use of ArcGIS Online, or if you need to have full control over your web server and the data that you host. Those are the reasons to use enterprise sites. You should consider using Hub Basic, which you probably already have a license to, if your organization uses ArcGIS Online as its main WebGIS platform. You should use Hub Basic if you would like your site to be open to the public. And there is an asterisk on this one because one of the use cases that I'm going to discuss at the end is a deployment pattern of a publicly available enterprise sites page. So there is that option if you're using enterprise sites to have it publicly available as well. You would just need to make sure that your ArcGIS Enterprise deployment is set up correctly to handle anonymous access. You'd want to use Hub Basic if you want the latest features available immediately. Online has a couple more scheduled releases throughout the year than Enterprise does. So by using Hub, as new features are released, you are able to use them immediately versus having to update or upgrade your deployment of ArcGIS Enterprise before being able to use those enhanced functions. The next reason relates to the content distribution network. So Hub runs with the CDN, which refers to a geographically distributed group of servers that are designed to work together to provide your content fast in terms of loading your site as well as downloading of data, providing that data from your site. Also, the search engine optimization with Esri, setting it up to ensure that your page and its content is indexed to have a higher result returned in Google searches, for instance. Hub also allows for custom domains for your website that you're creating. So here's an example of a use case that I'm going to talk about a bit later. Both of these URLs work, but instead of having the website that we constructed for the Mayo River State Park Master Plan, we've given it a custom domain, so it looks a bit cleaner, as well as it might fit into your organization's website naming convention a bit better. And Hub provides users the ability to download data in more formats. So instead of just being able to download the item by its file type directly, you're presented with more options such as file geodatabases, KML, CSVs, Excel spreadsheets, as well as access to APIs. Lastly, you should consider using Hub Premium if you want to be able to get started with a larger collection of templates. If you want to have that community member collaboration where they can help you curate the content, if you want to schedule events or directly communicate with followers of your initiatives by sending an email, for example. Here's that table again from earlier with sites added as an additional column. I do have an asterisk in the feedback section of sites because there are a couple ways that you can do this. Not directly built into the site builder per se, but you could use things like Survey123, GeoForms, Web App Builder, and embed them into the pages to get that feedback. So next I'd like to discuss the options available to you as you build your page. Regardless of which one you choose, you can drag and drop elements onto your page to quickly add an image or embed a map or a series of content in a gallery type format. I'll demo these when I show the behind the scenes of the use cases, but to first give you a foundation, you're able to set a color scheme to your website and then add a row. The rows can override the defined color palette for that specific section of the page. You can add a search bar, as well as a value directly from a feature service. So using the summary statistic metric. This is great for showing data related to your initiative. You're even able to add statistics from services that aren't yours, meaning demographic counts of population from a living atlas layer, for example. You could set the filter on it so that it's specific to your locality. So these are the options available to you in sites. With the latest update to Online and Hub, you do have a few additional options available. You can more easily embed apps into your website. You can add a spacer in your page, which is essentially adding a text element and then adding a couple break lines in there to give it some space between the elements. You're able to create surveys directly within your Hub page and more easily embed videos and social media feeds, as opposed to figuring out the iframe code and embedding it that way. And lastly, with Hub Premium, you do get a few more options added to this list of available drag and drop elements that are specific to premium capabilities, such as adding icons on your page so users can follow the initiative, add a button for a featured event, and add a calendar to your page that has a built-in way of displaying all of the events that you have scheduled for your initiative to your intended audience. So my top 3 website design considerations. So now that we know all about Hub and sites technology, I want to transition over to a few considerations that you should have in mind prior to configuring your first site, or if you've already done so, kind of go back and rethink, did I do this, or can I excuse me, can I do this better on the next one? So you're most likely not the webmaster for your organization. So it's always nice to play well with others, especially when you are in someone else's area of expertise. Collaboration is key, as you may be able to incorporate some of their expertise of web development into your potentially untapped experience. Plus, this will help streamline your website within the flow of your organization's existing web presence, along with the look and feel of your organization's brand. The next consideration that you will want to do is involve the right people at the beginning of this process, as well as throughout the entire process. It'll do a couple things. It'll allow transparency. It'll allow everyone to have input on various sections of your website and get everyone on the same page so that it can be developed how everyone wants it to be developed and promoted. Next is to think about the format of your website. You can create a single hub site with multiple pages, or you can create mini sites with each having their own mini sets of pages. There's no right answer per se, but it's always good to plan out as your GIS footprint matures and grows, so you can maintain, I guess, order in all of your all the sites and pages that you're gonna stand up and potentially link together. So Cobb County, Georgia, they've been doing some great work recently with their hub initiatives. This is an example of an organization that does mini hub sites with many pages. Here are just a few examples of hub sites that they have recently launched for providing open data, their response to COVID-19, and specific initiatives about finding restaurants, grocery stores, and boosting the local economy there. So what you can see from these screenshots is that each site has a bit of a different look and feel. So like I said before, there's no right answer, just something to be aware of and keep in mind as you start to deploy multiple sites. So check them out if you're in the area, and just keep it in your mind that when you're designing a website or multiple websites, how they're gonna play well with each other. So now that we have a solid foundation of concepts and the technology explained, I want to go over some projects that we've done here at Timmons Group. I'll go over the background of the projects, key concepts, deployment patterns, and I'll take you behind the scenes on some of the websites. So up first, we have Virginia Roads. At the beginning, I went over the background of the project and how it evolved from an internet site. This site was built completely in ArcGIS Online, including all the applications that are featured. Some key concepts, as shown in the website, are the idea of creating searchable data categories, and those can be organized by tags or linked to groups in ArcGIS Online. As you explore the various apps featured throughout the website, you will see a consistent theme used with similar colors and widget layouts, so that you know when you're viewing an application on this website, it is a Virginia Roads application authoritatively made by VDOT staff. You'll also see a section where you can learn about the capabilities of the website, as well as frequently asked questions organized by app. There's a call to action at the bottom of the Learn page where you can share how you use the data or what have you. So let me go ahead and transition over to the website. So here's the live version of the website. This is ArcGIS Hub. You can see that it has a custom domain. So instead of the vdot.maps.arcgis.com and then whatever precedes that, we have a custom clear message of virginiaroads.org. You can see that there are different categories for content as well as data, and then featured data sets. And then underneath these, you can explore directly the data that is the focus of each app or the app themselves. So here you can learn about Virginia Roads, what capabilities there are. So as this loads, you can see what you'll be able to do is explore the data as you try to visualize the data. If you're a signed in user, once you authenticate into the website, you'll be able to perform analysis and then collaborate with others, as well as building cool apps. And then there's that call to action to share. So click Virginia Park and Ride Lots, and it takes me to this application. This is where that consistent branding and theme comes in. It's the same look and feel as you go through the different apps of the website. It's the same blue. It's the same, relatively the same order of widgets along the top right that are featured in the apps. You have access to FAQs, home pages that are directly on VDOTs, as well as direct access to the Park and Ride lot data. So here's that data, and this is the true power of the open data platform is this page. So you can do a couple things here. You can download the full data set. If you go over to the data tab, you could then filter if you had a specific district in mind or a specific lot name. Once you apply a filter, that option would show up down here. You can go to the API Explorer. If you're a developer and this might interest you, you can do so. You can also do quick visualizations of the data. So if I wanted to click bicycle provisions, I get a quick count by type, and it's also symbolized. Let's see, handicap spaces is another one. So that's the chart breakdown, and you can see it shows the symbology and just does kind of that smart mapping feature that ArcGIS Online does. You have access to the owner of that if you needed to contact them, technical details such as the REST service endpoint if that's what you're trying to get at to add it to your own map, or you could just go ahead and create a web map, and what that would do is launch an ArcGIS Online blank map with this data set as the one layer in there. So next project that I want to talk about, keeping in line with kind of the theme of today's talk, framing the technology as a good social distancing platform and how you can communicate with your intended users The Mayo River State Park Master Plan Hub site is a great case study for how Hub was selected as the technology platform and then how it was developed. So some background on the master plan is our landscape architecture group here at Timmins has been working closely with North Carolina State Parks in helping to assess and plan the Mayo River State Park. This has been done previously for other state parks, and those implementations were along the line of create a WordPress site, post a couple static maps that were made with QGIS and Photoshop, and then have a SurveyMonkey survey featured to get feedback from the citizens. So there are quite a few moving pieces on a variety of different platforms included in that solution. So to help streamline the next park that a master plan was done for, we wanted to do everything entirely on the ArcGIS Online, the ArcGIS platform. So instead of dealing with an assortment of files, some spatial and some not, we first moved everyone here at Timmins managing their data collaboratively into an enterprise geodatabase. Then we published the data to an ArcGIS server as services to be featured in a variety of applications and web maps on the Hub site. So it was all in one place. And we used a mix of Survey123 and Web App Builder to gain spatial and non-spatial data feedback. You can see here on the slide that North Carolina State Parks, they recently tweeted about the website to their thousands of followers. And since then, we have seen an increase in feedback. So let's take a look at this site and go behind the scenes. So here's the Mayo River State Park Master Plan website. You can see at the top, you have the title, an image, welcome statement, an embedded interactive map, and then steps on how to get involved with the attachment viewer app featured on here. So a user could peruse the state park and look at the different pictures at different locations. So what does all this look like behind the scenes? Well, I'm signed in, so I'm gonna go ahead and start an editing session of this website, and this will take you to the builder. So here you can do a couple different things. You can see how the different elements have been configured. So drag and drop, you would go in here to the layout section. Here's all those tools, the elements that I had talked about earlier. You can drag and drop elements, so you can just start typing. There's built-in ways to format. If you don't know HTML or CSS, or you could go in here and say, look at the code view, and just from looking at what comes through on a default website, which I'll show in a second, you're able to pick up the patterns and see exactly how it's actually fit. So it's pretty easy to pick up if you want to start doing some more advanced things inside of your sites. So let's just start from the top and see how all this is set up. So here's the name of the website, quick summary. We didn't set up a custom favicon, but you can do that. That's what this icon is here inside of your tabs. We did give it a custom domain. So it would be the Mayo River State Park at timmins.maps.arcgis.com, but instead we set up the custom domain to be this website URL. You can do different things as far as Google Analytics, set how users would want to, or how you would want users to interact with your website, what type of data functionality is involved, and if you want to participate in any of the beta functions. Here's the header. So you can do a custom header, or you can change it from standard or prominent, as well as the box field or the wide field to take up the majority of your screen. As far as the branding, you can set the name of the website. Here we've just set it to welcome. It looks a bit cleaner when you're looking at it on a cell phone, as well as give it an image for a logo if that's what you wanted to do. Here we've set up the menu to actually have tabs. So it would do quick links to the different pages that we've set up. And then we've also set the social icons for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So when using this website, you can go directly to the Twitter page that is set up. So the next one is theme. So these colors right here is what I was talking about earlier, being able to set a theme and then adding a row to override. So here you can see that we've set it up. So I'm not going to save this, of course, because this is a live website, but you can see how you can change it or give it that hex value. Here, same thing with the header background color, and then the various text elements throughout the website, how links would show, the color of the buttons. So you can from just the builder, not knowing any HTML or CSS, to overwrite how a website would look as far as colors. You do have a pretty good handle on just from using this interface right here on customizing the color scheme of your website. The next one is the base fonts. Avenir Next is what's default, but what you can do is you can use a custom font if that's what your organization does. And here I've looked. Let's see. I'm going to add this font, and what you can do here is if you do have a custom font, you can preview it, and then when you apply, that actually changes the font that's on your website. So this is just an example of being able to really customize, add that customization to a pretty standard COTS deployment app on ArcGIS Online to give it that extra custom feel. Next, here's the map that we've added. As you add different elements and stack them, you have different settings for each one. So we've given it a custom height. This is something that you can change if you want to make it fit within the layout of your site. And you have a couple different options. You can also do this with applications. So this one isn't really related to the Mayo River State Park, but I'm going to go ahead and search by this app ID. So here's a dashboard that we made for the COVID response. You can just embed this directly into your site. So I think this was one of the Q&A questions that came through. Can you embed a hub page inside of a normal web page? You can. There's just some considerations as far as how it would look on different devices. So definitely it would work on desktop view, but you just might need to play around with the dimensions of the iframe that you're doing it in with some smaller screen devices. So there are a couple of options as you go through adding an app. Let's see. You can add a banner, so that's what's up here with the at the very top of our thing. You can add different categories, and this can feature this can be linked to tags within your ArcGIS Online organization, or this can be linked to a specific group. So when a category icon is chosen, what's returned are all the items that are in the group in ArcGIS Online. So this is a good way to organize the data and the maps that you would want to feature inside of a group within your website. And then you can see we have a couple other ones. So if we wanted to add the follow initiative button, you can customize the call to action text as well as the background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to not save this, but I'm going to show you how we've set up the pages. So of this hub site, we've created 8 pages that we've provided links to throughout this web page, as well as along the top. So I'll first go to Learn, and I am not going to save any of those changes. So what this does, it's a way to learn about the initiative. What are we doing? The history of the state park, some key events, what are we doing, and meeting the team of here at Timmins as well as at state parks, and their mission and vision. So this was a pretty cool page to develop. And then another one is the maps page. So before, when I was talking about the development of the site with WordPress and static maps, they wanted to be able to have interactive maps. So what this is, we've set up a story map embedded in here with different tabs. So you can zoom in to a specific area and then go, we have maps set up so that you can tab through the different vegetation, natural resources, hydrology, and slope once it all loads. Let's see, yeah, hydrology and then slope. So you can get a quick view around the park. The next page I want to go over is the provide input page. So this is really the meat behind the website. We want input from the community, from people that care about the state park. So we've embedded a survey that you can go right now and fill out. Here's the code behind the button. So we actually stayed within the Timmins.mayomasterplan.com website and just linked that survey. So as you're viewing this, when you say take the survey, you actually you stay within the website and you have access to the survey 1, 2, 3, and it asks you where you live, age range, type of activities that you would like to do, there, or type of activities that you would like to have implemented. And then also at the bottom, we've included for spatial feedback a couple ways to input points, lines, and polygons on the map. So you can say, we need a campsite here, we need a trail added from here to here. So this is all reviewed by our team. And then we have a couple additional tabs where you can go over initial concepts, planned, and final concepts as this assessment goes into the fall and spring of next year. Let's see. Next project is Orange Open Data. So we assisted with their upgrade. We assisted them upgrading their GIS infrastructure, which led to, well, we've transitioned our enterprise data to this new model. How do we get it in the hands of our citizens? So we worked with the Orange County staff to design Orange Open Data, available today to the public. We wanted to organize their data and apps effectively, so we created the 6 data categories that you see there, as well as an application page where you can see the showcase of all the apps that the Orange County GIS team wants to feature. So one of the key concepts with this deployment is that they have a standalone ArcGIS server that they publish their data to so that it can stay in sync with their enterprise geodatabase. So we had to register each layer as an item in ArcGIS Online so it can be searchable and then downloadable. So just a quick tour around that so we can stay on time. Here's the open data site. You can learn about functionality as well as about this initiative. Here we have summary statistics that link directly to the authoritative data services. And then on here, if you were interested in seeing boundary features, it would take you to that data result return for that specific group in ArcGIS Online. And then you can see the fire districts. And then you can download and peruse the different fire districts of Orange County GIS. And one of the cool things about working with the county's GIS staff here is they were very quick to learn. And when the COVID-19 pandemic started, they were able to take what they learned from interacting with us And they were able to stand up a new hub site on their own using an Esri curated initiative template. And let me go over to that. So they were actually able to stand up a COVID response hub. It shows metrics from authoritative sources as well as metrics that are maintained by local metrics maintained by the county. So this is a very easy technology to learn. It's good to master, to be able to effectively tell your story of your project. So this is a really good use case for this. And then this is just a quick example of, you don't have to necessarily know what a REST service directory is, but instead on the right, you can click a icon and then go to that data category and get to that data. And then there is the response hub. And then lastly, the SpotSeeGeoHub. This is an example of a website that we created for a one-stop shop for GIS content at County of Spotsylvania. This is the externalized ArcGIS Enterprise deployment. We set up scripts that exports their enterprise data as downloadable zip shape files. They wanted to move away from ArcGIS Online and have everything hosted on their ArcGIS Enterprise infrastructure. So this is a way that as a user, you can select a data category and then go directly to the airport overlay district, a returned web map, for instance. And then from there, you can either download the zip shape file or interact with the full map. And then that's where you can customize that look and feel. You can add your own layers and add that to your application. And then when you search, so one use case I haven't mentioned yet is one that involves distributed collaboration. There is a way for you to connect instances of ArcGIS Enterprise deployments to one another. Or in the case that we're interested in, is connecting it to ArcGIS Online. So Online is the host organization that receives authoritative content from your GIS user base in your enterprise, so you can take advantage of the increased functionality that Hub provides. So this is something that we're currently working with Nevada DOT and other organizations to connect their enterprise to ArcGIS Online. And finally, I just want to finish off this with some rapid fire lessons learned. So from my perspective, it's always best to contact your webmaster. Use your organization's color codes to build that brand recognition. Here are all the items in ArcGIS Online that run the Mayo River website. At the very bottom is the initiative item that's created. If you have Hub Premium and you don't want your users to be confused, you don't necessarily want followers of your initiative, you just want to create those user-friendly websites. If you unshare that initiative, it'll take that follow option away, which means you won't have random requests from users that say, it prompted me to create an account to see content. What account do I need to create? So it would just be that simple website feel, which is what we've done with the Mayo River State Park. Have consistency in your applications. Think about how you want to organize your site. If you're going to provide data, provide some sort of data dictionary, so it provides more of a valuable service. If you build it, provide training materials. Always have your data up to date. So use Python, FME, keep the data refreshed. And then lastly, promote. If you build it, they will come, but they have to know about it. So promote, promote, promote. And with that, thanks for your time today. And don't forget to check out what others are doing at the curated Esri gallery of Hub deployments, as well as learning plans. So feel free to reach out to myself or the other GIS professionals here at Timmons. We would love to chat about your initiatives and ideas.
Thank you, Brian. Do you or Matt have any additional comments before we wrap up the session today? All right, well, that concludes our online program. Thank you to our presenters and all of today's participants. The program has ended. You may now disconnect.
Thanks.